So I figured I would go live for just a minute while I was in the park on my way back home, looking at the lovely moon up here. It's amazing how distorted the moon can get in some of our cameras, right? There we go. Look at that beautiful moon. Now it looks normal. Before I start, thank you guys so much for whatever you do for my channel, whether it be liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, leaving timestamps, donating, making purchases. Everything that you guys do really helps me out so much, and I am so appreciative and grateful for each and every one of you. So thank you guys for that. So I wanted to take a minute to talk about our judgments. I was listening to somebody go off on people with a silver spoon in their mouth their whole life earlier, and that is definitely one that hits home at times, because there's been plenty of people who have thought that about me throughout my life. And it's funny how people can judge from outside without even seeing what's going on inside. You never know what happened in somebody's life, even if it looks like they had a perfect life and like they had everything handed to them, they had it so easy when you had it so hard. You don't know that they did. You don't know what they were going through. And technically, a lot of times when people had everything handed to them throughout their whole life, yeah, they had everything handed to them except for love, attention, care. And even if they did have those things handed to them because their parents paid for it, they didn't get it from their parents either. The people that they loved most in the world, the people that they want to have validation from the most in the world. And then they spend a lot of their life looking for that validation that they were missing so much when they were growing up. Each and every path in life, and each and every position in life has its own problems, has its own downside. Everyone has pros and every experience has cons. So when I was listening to that talk about people with silver spoons in their mouth and how they had everything handed to them and everything was always so easy for them, that's what it made me think about. It was so easy for them. How do you know everything was just so simple? How do you know they didn't have any problems because of that? It's just a different set of problems. It's just a different way that they had to learn, a different way that they had to grow. Because each and every one of us has our own obstacles in life, our own challenges in life, our own experiences in life. And each one of us has both good experiences and bad experiences. Somebody's whole life can look miserable from the outside, and they can actually be somebody that is much happier and has a lot more fulfillment in their life than somebody whose life looks like it's completely beautiful from the outside. It goes back to what I was saying in my pick a card reading earlier about judging a book by its cover. When you judge a book by its cover, you completely miss what's even going on inside that book. Where it comes from, what the story means, what it might even be about. It's kind of like when all those fanatics started burning Harry Potter books. And they didn't even look inside that cover. This because it's evil. This book saved a lot of people's lives. That book meant so much to so many people. And I'm one of those people. Because it came into my life in a moment when I needed it more than pretty much any other book I've ever found in my life. And that's what she intended with that book when she wrote it. But because some people are busy, stuck in judgment, instead of being able to peer a little bit deeper, they get stuck in that shallow energy and they assume things without even thinking about it or without even knowing about it. Just like when the people of this town, there was a lot of people in this town when I first started doing what I was doing, Satan, trying to force me into claiming Jesus Christ as my Savior, which is against their own religion anyway. You're not supposed to force anybody. You're supposed to let them come of their own accord. when and if they feel drawn to it. And if they don't, you're supposed to allow them to go their own way. But that's not what they've been taught, because throughout the history of their religion, look how many people they murdered trying to force them into their religion, or because they refused to be a part of it. And yet, they call other religions that do that evil. But they don't consider themselves evil anyway. But like I was saying, everything has good and bad. And that includes that. There's a lot of good in it, and there's a lot of bad in it. Anytime that we are judging something from the outside, it's a time for us to look in the mirror and reflect. Why do I feel this way about this particular subject, or person, or experience, or this way of being? Why do I feel like this is a bad thing? Why do I feel like this is a good thing? Why is it triggering jealousy within? Or why is it triggering when they're looking for 644, when they're looking from the outside into somebody else's life? I had somebody at one point in time actually wanted my life so bad, and my energy so bad, wanted my path, wanted my purpose, wanted it all. Little did they know of what it is that they were wanting. Careful what you wish for. Because yeah, it may look like it's going to be such a great thing, and it may look so glamorous from the outside, but take a minute to walk in my shoes, and then you'll get to choose. Hollywood seeps into home. I have a poem on my channel, do StoryTime, in the description box below. You can find a link for it. I can't remember what it's called though. But that's what's in it. The talk's all about that. And that was actually before that person came along, which is funny. Because even in that, I was kind of critiquing a little bit. So, that person wanted it so badly. And they were wanting to take it. And I was just like, you know what? Here, have it. Fuck, just have it. You want it so bad? Take it. Take my energy. Take my path. Take my purpose. Take it all. And do something fucking amazing with it. And I'll take yours. And we've literally switched energies, which sounds insane, yeah? But we did. Switched energies. And so he had mine, and I had his. And I was all of a sudden pulled into a black fucking hole, a void of depression, pain, misery, hurt, nothingness. A lot of nothingness in there too. And I was just like, you know what? Yeah, I was right. Go ahead and keep that energy. Keep it, and just make sure that you do what you're supposed to do with it. Take it and do something fucking amazing and wonderful. And I'm just going to take this energy right here, and I'm going to walk it off the bridge down the street. Because you know what? I think I might actually be able to do that in this energy. I might actually be able to leave here. I've been wanting to leave here for a long time. And as I was sinking more and more into that, all of a sudden, he's like, no, wait, give it back. And we switched back. Of course, a little piece of each of us stayed in the other. And that little piece, that spark of that light that stayed in there, grew and healed and helped him pull himself out of that black void. And that little piece of dark that stayed in here helped me to be closer to my shadow side. Helped me to accept it more, see it more, acknowledge it more. Helped me to be able to... There's a truth. And then you kind of question, you know, well, was it actually that person that wanted to save me in that moment? Or was it only because they had my energy in them? So when my energy left them, I was actually the one that wanted to save me. Maybe that's why I don't need saving. But anyway, and you could judge that book by a cover too. Or you could delve in a little bit deeper. Because it's amazing the energy people are in sometimes when they're hurting, when they're lost, when they're feeling alone, 1044, and in the cold. And 11's on the screen too. Sometimes that energy can be so far gone and removed from who that person actually is and what their energy actually is. But if you judge it too quickly and you just feel like, oh, this is a lost cause, then you'll never see 1111 what they could really be. Because everyone has the potential to be something fucking phenomenally amazing. With a little bit of care, nurturing, love. But with judgment, fear, hate, doubt, shaming, all that kind of shit. It serves a purpose, it does. And at the same time, that's not what's going to grow that light. That's what's going to grow that shadow and that darkness. When you decide something's a lost cause, especially if you're somebody with so much power, so much energy, or somebody that somebody looks up to so deeply, then that person really truly believes you. It's like the time that I ran into this gay person. They were working in the gas station. I had seen them quite a bit at that point. They had been working there for like 2 or 3 weeks on graveyard, and I was living at the gas station, so, you know, I had talked to them a lot, seen them a lot, and he was always so bubbly, so fun, so lively, and fairly high energy most of the time, honestly. And then there was one night I was talking to him, and he's like, doesn't matter what I do anyway, I'm evil. That's just who I am. I'm evil. He literally believed that he was evil simply because he was gay. I wonder if Jeffrey Dahmer felt the same. That's actually when we had the most prolific serial killers of all time besides Jack the Ripper. They all came out of the 40s and 50s when we had a massive, severe religious uptick. And everybody was obsessed with everyone having to be perfect and no one ever committing anything that might be considered a sin in any way. There was also a lot of massive abuse towards women at that point, and a lot of men who disappeared. Probably didn't help any either, especially since a lot of the women, if they had sons, tended to abuse them very severely after their fathers disappeared. Especially if their fathers left them for another woman. Or their daughters, too. I mean, really. But he really believed that he was evil. And there was nothing he could do to change it. And there was no point in even trying to deny it or hide it or anything else, because that's all he ever would be. His mother had stuck him in conversion therapy twice. Not once, but twice. She sent him away to a church camp of conversion therapy where they tried to force you to no longer be gay. And then his grandmother adopted him because she's like, there is no way she's putting you through that again. I love my grandson just the way he is, and you need to leave him the fuck alone. And because she judged that book by its cover, by what she had been told by the world around her, instead of what she was told by her heart, she never got to know how wonderful her son was. And she will probably never have any kind of relationship with him. And as he's walking around, knowing he's evil for no reason whatsoever, who knows what pain he might end up causing that he might not have caused? if he didn't believe that. So we really do need to remember that when we're interacting and dealing with others. Unconditional love is called unconditional love for a reason. It's because no matter what, you can feel love for that person, and you can see love in that person, and you can see beautiful things about that person. That doesn't mean you're a doormat. That doesn't mean you allow people to abuse you. That doesn't mean that you have to have everybody in your life. That doesn't mean any of that. That has nothing to do with that. What it has to do with is whether or not you're feeling love or hatred towards somebody. Whether you're feeling understanding and acceptance or shame and condemnation. Whether you're welcoming them to heaven's gates or whether you're damning them to hell. Whether or not you're seeing them as a fellow human being who is not perfect and has never been perfect and never will be perfect, just like you. Or if you're judging them to a harsh standard and a high standard of they have to be a certain way or else they can't receive any of your love or your acceptance or your kindness or your respect or anything else. So just some food for thought on how we treat others and how it's a reflection of what's going on within ourselves. Because when we judge others harshly in that way, we are judging ourselves 10 times as much, because we always judge ourselves far more harshly than we do anyone else. Always. So say that you're judging somebody for cheating on someone. And then say, somehow, someday, something happened and you end up doing the same. How much harder do you think you're going to be on yourself, especially when you're feeling all the pain that you caused others when they had done something like that? Or say if you're accepting, how much less harshly you're going to be judging yourself and how much easier it's going to be to accept yourself if something like that happens in your life. If anybody's been here since the beginning, then you know about the polyamorous relationship, closed polyamorous relationship my ex-husband and I had with his best friend, because he wanted to invite his best friend into our relationship. Talk about a disaster. There was a lot of jealousy going on and manipulation and a bunch of other shit going on with those two. And I was busy trying to keep everything together, but probably wasn't creating a whole lot of good with a lot of it either. But his best friend thought that he came in there and destroyed everything we had and destroyed our marriage and all kinds of other shit, which also caused him to act in other ways because, you know, he didn't want to necessarily admit that. And when people don't want to admit something like that or apologize for something like that or admit where they went wrong and things like that, it's not because they always think that they're right. It's not because they think that they can never do any wrong. 9 times out of 10, it's because they've been told their entire life if they ever do anything wrong, they're not good enough and they're not worthy of love. They've been told their entire life that they need to be perfect. And anything less is not acceptable. They've been told their entire life that if they do anything wrong, something bad's going to happen. Kind of like when parents beat the fuck out of their kids for doing something wrong, instead of sitting down and talking to them and explaining to them why it's not okay what they did and how maybe in the future they can respond to a situation in a better way. But no, now they just taught them in the future, respond with your fists, because that's the best way to handle anything, right? Wrong. And so, at some point in time, I told him, and it was pretty harsh, actually, but because it was actually the last thing I said to him before he disappeared. I was like, you know what? You need to get the fuck over it. You've been blaming it on me, and now you're blaming it on him. And you know what? You just need to accept that each one of us made the decision to be here, and each one of us fucked up in some way. You need to forgive us, you need to forgive yourself, and you need to stop feeling like you destroyed our entire marriage, because you didn't fucking destroy our entire marriage. You wouldn't have even been able to be in it to destroy it if there wasn't already some problems anyway, right? So, when earlier this year, there was something that happened with me and somebody, which ended pretty quickly because I was like, nope, can't do it. But when it came to that experience, I was able to be a lot kinder with myself too. Because instead of judging others in that moment, I have sat and talked to them about why they might be going through that, or why they might be in the circumstance, or why they may be hating themselves for it, or things like that. But I've spent a lifetime learning how to be understanding, accepting, learning how to communicate. I've spent a lifetime working to understand the human mind in a lot of ways. The last 20 years. And actually longer than that, but the last 20 years actively, very actively. So it does take some time to develop those skills, 22. But those skills and that knowledge and that way of handling things, that's what brings peace and harmony and balance, connection, friendship, joy into lives. Shaming, condemning, destroying others the way they destroyed you, telling people that they're worthless and they're nothing but a pile of shit. 2255. That doesn't really help. Sometimes it can help you feel better, especially if you've been holding things in for a really long time. But in the long run, it doesn't help anybody, including yourself, because at the end of the day, when you get through a lot of the things you're feeling in that moment, and you work through some of that pain, and you get to that level of forgiveness and that, then you start to look back on some of those things. And then you got to work on forgiving yourself for some of those things. 333. But know that you're protected in that. Know that you're forgiven in that. Know that you are still loved. And know that that love you give out comes back to you. Your love does not go to waste. Even when others can't see it, even when others can't return it. It doesn't go to waste, especially when you are a light in the dark for people around you, guiding them back to themselves. So that's pretty much what I got to say tonight, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this reading. Would love to hear, message. Would love to hear what you guys have to say about it. Thank you guys so much for anybody who leaves comments, likes, shares, subscribes, leaves donations, makes purchases on this channel. Anything that you do to support this channel or my other channel, StoryTime. You can find a link for it in the description box, and if you enjoy poetry, you might want to go check it out. Thank you guys so much for that. It really does help me out so much, and I appreciate you guys more than you guys know. And I hope you guys have a beautiful night or day, whatever it is, wherever you are when you're watching. Bye-bye, guys.